Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel Vivek's Automation Lab. So today we are going to learn a very important topic in Docker, and that is called Docker Compose, right? So in last sessions we have learned lots of things in Docker, and now I think we can learn Docker Compose. So before we say like, okay, what is Docker Compose and why we need Docker Compose, let's understand. Now we have learned everything in the Docker, like, okay, we can pull the image, we can create the container, we can run it, we can build our own image, we can deploy it to the Docker Hub. So now what is this Docker Compose, right? Why we need this Docker Compose? So friends, in the real world, it can happen like, okay, you are running 3 and 4 containers or more than that, and they needs to talk to each other. Like suppose you have a Selenium project, and then you need to create a container like for browsers like Chrome, Firefox, then your own project, then operating system, then maybe Maven, and so many things, and they all need to talk. So in the last I think maybe 2 or 3 sessions back, we learned about the Docker network, right? Then we have to create a network, and then we have to create all the containers using that network, then only they can communicate. And this is like, okay, if you have more number of containers, you have to create the network. It may be a little difficult, right? But if you use Docker Compose, you don't need to create the you don't need to create the network. So let's understand first. Let me run one image, right? Let me run one container, docker run. Suppose I want to run in the background mode nginx. So you know already now nginx is a type of server, right? So let's run it. So now once nginx is running, what I will do is like, I will create one more container. Maybe we will use Alpine again, and we'll see whether we can communicate without network, right? Let's see how we can do that. So we know already, like, if you want to communicate, we have to create a network. That is like docker network create, right? So that is the command, and once the network is created, you can attach that network name with all the containers, whoever wants to be in the network, and they can communicate with each other. So that is the one way, but the other way will be Docker Compose. So let's see, until this is getting downloaded, I'm just going through those concepts. So that is the one use of Docker Compose, and then the other use, so I will explain you. So let's see. Now let me run docker run Alpine in the interactive mode. I will run Alpine. Okay, good. So again, it's not able to find, so it is just downloading it from the. Now we are good. So now let's ping nginx, right? So it's saying bad address because they both are not in the network. So now what you can do, how you can solve this problem? So if you want to solve this problem, you have to just exit from here, and first you have to create a Docker network, right? Docker network create, and then you already know it, so I'm not going through again now. So this is just a command, docker network create, and then you have to attach the network with the containers you are running. So that is the one way. Second way is you just create a compose file. Let me show you that. So there is a YAML file, right? There is a Docker Compose. The name will be always like Docker file. So this name will be Docker Compose, and this is a YAML file. The extension is a YAML file. If you see here, it's a type is YAML file, right? Like test1 is a Java file. Docker file is just a simple text document, but this Docker Compose is a YAML file. So let me now open it. So friends, now whatever containers, so in the Docker Compose, let's understand what we are saying. We are saying version 3. So this is the version of the Docker Compose. So previously it was 2, now it is 3. So it is just the updated version of Docker Compose we have to mention. Just like if you remember, if you have created the XML document, we provide some version and all, right? So it's the same thing. Now in this Docker Compose file, we will mention all the containers. They will be in the same network they want to communicate, right? So it's not network, but whatever containers are running here, they will be able to communicate with each other. So suppose, so in the Docker Compose word, we say all the containers will be called services. So okay, I am saying I need services. So what are the services? So I need nginx service. And then what is this nginx service? So nginx service means we want nginx image, right? Then the name of the container is nginx container. You can give any name here. Okay, I want my nginx container to be anything, whatever you want. I want this nginx container, so you can give this. But the image name will be same, because this image name will be downloaded from the Docker Hub. And once it is downloaded, when it is running, the container name, if you know friends, we can remove this container name from here, because if you don't provide the container name, it will take some default name we have already discussed. Okay, so this image nginx and this container we are creating, this will come into the service nginx. So you can say like nginx service. If you want to say like this, you can say like this. This is just a name, or you can just say like nginx. So this is the name of the service. In this service we are running this image nginx container. Then I want Alpine, right? So suppose this is, let me remove it. This I think we can remove for now, so that it will be easy. Now we want Alpine. So you can say Alpine 1, Alpine 2, whatever, or just Alpine. This is the name of the service. In this service, what image we are running? We are running the Alpine. And here, if you see, I have not provided the container name, right? If you want, you can provide some container name here. Okay. But if you don't provide, it will take some default name. So this is just optional. Only mandatory is this service name and the image name. That's it. This is the mandatory. Apart from that, everything is optional. Like if you see here Alpine, we are saying entry point is ping nginx. If you don't provide it, it will, the default entry point is like bin bash, right? So it will be there. But if you provide it, it's the optional field. If you provide, it will just override whatever the entry point for Alpine, right? It will override that one. Now the very important thing, friends, we have here, we are saying depends on this nginx. This is the name of the service here, nginx service. Let's see like this, else it will be confusing. Nginx service. So this Alpine will be is pinging nginx, right? It means, since we see when you create a Docker Compose file, there is no order. Maybe the nginx will be running first, or maybe Alpine will be running first. It doesn't matter. We don't know. So it's not like you are writing nginx first, then nginx run first, and then Alpine. It's not like that. So when you run this Docker Compose, anything can run first. So, but when you want, since you are using Alpine after nginx, your Alpine container depends on the nginx, because you are pinging nginx, right? So you have to say depends on this nginx service. So it may depend on more. Suppose you have only one command here, right? Ping nginx. Maybe it is using some more containers, 2 or 3 containers. So you have to provide here more containers, like okay, ABC. Then one more container it has. So you will say okay, something. So there could be more than one. That's why so this is the syntax of Docker Compose, the YAML file. If there is if you want to provide the service name which it depends on, you have to provide with the hyphen and then the name of the service that it depends on. Okay. Now friends, so this is the one important thing, depends on, right? Apart from that, everything you know. So what we are saying now, if you don't use the Docker Compose, so what you have to do? You have to run this nginx container. No, before that you have to create a network, right? Docker create network, and then you have to run this container and attach the network. Then you have to run this container, attach the network. Then only they can communicate. But now they can communicate without creating the network, and you don't have to execute these commands separately in the command prompt. So let's see how it will work. Now I'm going to the command prompt. There is one more thing, friends, I want to show you. So if you see, I am into this path, right? C users Vivek Mishra, and I have kept my Docker file, everything in the same place. Okay, so Docker file is at the same place. Now what I'm going to do is, okay, I will go here and I will try to execute this compose file, Docker Compose file. So the command is very simple. You have to just execute this Docker Docker compose up. That's it. So when you say Docker Compose up, what it will do, it will see what is the Docker Compose file in this path, and it will run that. So it will read these commands from here, Docker Compose file. Okay, I have to run this nginx container, I have to run Alpine, I have to run Alpine only after nginx. So everything will be happen. Let's see how it is working. So let's press enter. I just hit enter. Okay, what happened? Something. Let's hit enter. Okay, now it's working. So it's saying YAML scanner while scanning for next token found these cannot start. Okay, I think we have some problem here. Let's see. So let's do one thing. Control S. Let's close it. I think maybe. Okay, let's try again. Docker Compose. Okay friends, yeah, so maybe it was open or something. So now see what is happening. So it's creating this nginx container first. If you see here, since we have provided the name, it is taking the name. For Alpine we have not provided any name, so it is taking some default name. Okay, so these two containers are done. Now what it is doing, now it is attaching nginx container to this, because they can communicate with each other. It's creating a type of network. Okay, and then see what it's doing. It's when it's pinging, it's saying bad address. Okay, let's see what happened. Okay friends, okay, let me charge my battery, just give me a second. I think, okay friends, so it's saying ping bad address. Let's see what's wrong now. So if I go to my docker compose file, if you see here, I'm trying to ping nginx, right? But here we have to provide the name of the service, and if you see, we change the service name to this. So we have to just provide this service name here. Okay, and then control S, and let's try to do it again. Okay, so let me exit here and let me open the command prompt again. Okay, and as you know, we have to go to the same path where we have our docker compose file. So let's go to that path, cd space, and then let's say docker, okay, docker compo compose up. So let's see. So docker compose up is the command to execute the docker compose file, right? So now if you see, it's keep pinging. It is not stopping, right? It's because, so if you see, everything is done, like it's created the container, all the containers, and now it's pinging. So if you see this docker compose file, let's open it here and we can see what is happening, right? So it's pinging and it's keep pinging. If you want to see, if you go to some other command prompt, and if you say, okay, let's go to the same path here also, and let's see what services are running, right? So if you go here, cd space here, and then say docker ps -a, see, up this Alpine and this nginx container, right? Two are running. If you see here like this is running, and then nginx is running. Okay, now if you want to stop, you can just press Control C here, right? Control C. Okay, Control C, or we can just close it here, maybe that's fine. Now friends, now if you again do it, see, now status is up about Alpine is still running. So let's stop it. So you saw, right, how we can run. So let me show you some more thing. Docker stop. Let's stop this container. Let's stop this container. Okay, docker stop this. Yeah, it's taking some time. Let's wait for some time. Okay, done. Now let's say docker do, you know the commands to use, like remove the stopped container and unused images. Docker system rune -a. Okay, I want to confirm, and now it's done. Now if you say docker ps -a, okay, so if you say ps -a, it's saying these two containers are here, right? nginx. So these two containers are still running, that's why. So we have to stop it, because maybe we ran it but we did not stop. So let's stop these containers. Docker stop, or let's not, okay, stop. Docker stop. Let's stop this one also. docker stop, and now if you say ps -a, so now it's stopped, right? Now if you say docker system rune -a, you say y, and again if you say docker ps -a, so now everything is removed. Now we are good. So now friends, what I'm going to do is, okay, so this time we saw how it is working. And So here we have two services. We can add more services as well. So let's see how we can do that. Okay, I think to add more, let me see what I will just copy it here, right? I can just copy it, Control C, and then Control V. Okay, but if you see here, it needs to be like okay, friends. Okay, it needs to be no. Okay, now I think we are good. Okay. Okay, so I have created one more. This is Alpine one. I'm creating one more service for one more container, that is Alpine. And this time, instead of pinging, what I will say okay, wget. So wget is another command, friends. So what it will do, it will try to download the index.html from this service, right? This service is up and running, so it will just copy that, download that. Now where it will download, it will download in the containers directory somewhere. So if you want, you can provide your working directory, right? You know already. So let's provide some working directory here. So working working directory, you can provide anything, say a b, you can provide anything here. So this directory is in the container. So you are saying, okay, whatever, when you are running this container, whatever you download or whatever you do this in this directory in the container. Okay, now the entry point is wget. Now what else? Okay, let's do one more thing. Here I will do the volume mapping, so that whatever it's downloading, right, index.html in the working directory abc, it will all, we can see after our container is stopped. So I will just say volume mapping, right? So volumes volumes. So the volume mapping I will do. So let's see how I can do the volume mapping. Okay, so okay, I think like this. Okay, so okay, now it's good. So volumes I will say, okay, so whatever is my working directory, right? So I can say like or what I will do, I will just copy it from here, right? I can copy it my this path. I want to create my index.html. I want to volume map with this one, right? So I will say like this. Let's change this to / because I'm using Windows. So do like this. Okay, so this is my path in my host. Okay, and I want to map it with the path here abc, so with this working directory. Okay, so this is done, and this also depends on the nginx service. Okay, so we are good here. Save it. Now friends, so now we understand, okay, with the Docker Compose, we don't need to create container, whatever containers, we don't need to create network. Whatever container we want, we can create in the Compose file and they will be able to communicate. So that is the one advantage of Docker Compose. The another advantage is, suppose you are creating some project like Selenium project and you have to run Chrome, you have to run Maven, Jenkins, and all those things. So you have to if you don't create a Docker Compose file, you have to execute all the commands separately, which is difficult because you have to do many times. But if you create a Docker Compose file like this, so you can provide, okay, whatever you want. I want this entry point, I want this volume mapping, I want everything, and you have to just execute Docker Compose up. That's it, and it will execute everything one by one as directed in the Docker Compose file. It will have everything, okay, which container depends on which. So depending on that, it will do. So let's see this now. Now I will go here and I will say Docker compo Docker Compose up. Let's see, error. So is invalid because Alpine to volume type is required property. Okay, so I think we did some mistake here. Let me see that. Okay friends, so I think maybe there was some issue in my Docker Compose file, so I just let me save it again and let's try again. Okay, so let's try again here, Docker Compose up. saying Alpine depends on Nginx, which is undefined. Okay, so I think still there is some problem. So sorry guys for this. I think we are doing some mistake here. It's saying depends on Nginx service, right? It should be only one time service, and here also it should be service. Somehow it is removed. Okay, so let's try it again. So now we are running 3 containers in this Docker compose file, right? See, it's pulling, the first is pulling Nginx service, this Nginx, because it is not there, so it will take some time. Let's wait for this. Okay. So yeah friends, because now we have 3 images, like it may take little bit time. So we have Nginx and we have 2 containers for Alpine. One container where we are pinging Nginx and one container where we are saying wget Nginx. Okay, so let's see what will happen this time. Okay friends, yeah. It's just downloading everything. This download is completed. So what next it is doing? It is still downloading, so we'll wait. Yeah friends, so now if you see, right, the Nginx is done. We're saying pull is complete, and then it's running here, create this Nginx container, then it's running this Alpine 1 container and then Alpine 2 container. Okay, since we have provided some container name for Nginx, it's doing that name, and for Alpine it's taking some default name. Okay, and then it's saying attaching to Nginx. So here it's creating a network for all these 3. Okay, and then it's doing something in the Nginx container. That's why it's type of log here, right? It's log, and then it's saying ping bad address Nginx. So again friends, it's saying some bad address Nginx because the name of the service is Nginx service. I think when I was making some changes I did that, so let me do it again. Okay, here I think, okay, so here ping Nginx service, and here also it will be service. Okay, so now I think we have to stop it. Okay, I just stopped it and I will run this again. Let me clear the screen, and this time since we have already, okay, this time let's run. Okay, let's run it first. Okay, let's see. So see, this time it is fast, right? Now see, it's pinging, and before pinging, okay, and index.html also, see, saving index.html, it saved that, and now it's keep on pinging. Okay, so it will not stop until you don't stop it. Okay, so let's do one thing. Instead of running like this, let's run it in the background mode. Okay, so control C, control C, control C. Okay, so now I will run it in the background mode, docker compose. So it's the same command, just you have to say -d if you want to run this compose file. So whatever server like Nginx, so it will run everything in the background mode. See, starting Nginx container, done, and then it is starting this container, that's it. It don't have any other details. If you see docker ps-a, docker ps-a, see, it's showing there are 3 containers that is running. There is one container, this wget, because this is we are not pinging. This is like something, if you go to this path, right, see, it's downloaded one index.html. if you open it, it's saying welcome to Nginx. So this is what wget did, and then it is stopped. Okay, but other 2 containers, this Nginx and this Alpine, this one, this is up and running because keep pinging in the background. We cannot see it because we said docker compose up -d. Okay, now let's do one more thing. So now it's up and running, right? This, now how we can you know, stop this docker ps. So we cannot say okay, docker stop one by one. Instead what we'll say, docker compose, docker compose down down. So when you say docker compose down, oh, some problem, docker compose So it will stop the container, it will also remove all the unused, so it will just work like a Docker system prune -a. So it will stop everything, it will remove everything. Done, right? Now let's see Docker ps -a. See, there is nothing. So this, friends, now you understand, right? So if I go here, so you understand two things in why we need Docker Compose. So with Docker Compose, we can create the network. We don't have to specifically create the network with the commands, okay, Docker network create, and then you assign. If you create Docker Compose, it will happen automatically. And the second thing is, you don't have to provide all the commands one by one in your big project. So if you provide everything in the Docker Compose file, it will be executed as you have designed. So, and this is the syntax, this is a YAML file. So you have to provide the version of this YAML, version 3, and then you have to create services for all the containers. Okay, friends, thank you. Bye.